Good morning, everybody, and thank you again once for joining me. We are continuing in the Word of God. We are in chapter 18 of the book of Deuteronomy. Looks like we're getting fairly close to working towards the end. Maybe another 10 or 12 chapters, I think, to go. Let me see here, like 30 something, 34, 35. Yeah, like 34, I think. But anyways, we're at chapter 18, the provision for priests and Levites, abominable practices, like false diviners, a new prophet like Moses, which is coming up with, is in reference to Jesus Christ. So make sure to keep that in mind when we get to around verse 15. Chapter 19 and 20, I think we'll be able to get all three of those. Property boundaries, laws concerning cities of refuge, concerning warfare, concerning witnesses, property boundaries, I think I said that. So some great information coming our way as we get into this. Let me see here. I'm just looking to see if we can recap it. Okay, anyways, we'll go ahead and get started with chapter 18. Do chapters 18, 19, and 20, I think today will be what we get done. So anyways, yeah. So chapter 18, the book of Deuteronomy, verse 1. The Levitical priests, all the tribe of Levi, shall have no portion of inheritance with Israel. They shall eat the Lord's food offerings as their inheritance. They shall have no inheritance among their brothers. The Lord is their inheritance, as he promised them. And they shall be the priests due from the people, from those offerings of sacrifice, whether an ox or a sheep, they shall give to the priest the shoulder and the two cheeks and the stomach, the first fruits of your grain, of your wine, and of your oil, and of the first fleece of your sheep. You shall give him, for the Lord your God has chosen him out of all your tribes to stand and minister in the name of the Lord, him and his sons for all time. And if a Levite comes from any of your towns out of all Israel where he lives, and he may come when he desires, to the place that the Lord will choose, and ministers in the name of the Lord his God, like all his fellow Levites who stand to minister there before the Lord, then he may have equal portion to eat. Besides that, he receives from the sale of his patrimony. Verse 9, abominable practices. When you come into the land that the Lord your God is giving you, you shall not learn to follow the abominable practices of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone who burns his son or his daughter as an offering, anyone who practices divination or tells fortunes or interprets omens, or a sorcerer or a charmer or a medium, or a necromancer, or one who inquires of the dead. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord your God is driving them out before you. You shall be blameless before the Lord your God. For these nations which you are about to dispossess, listen to fortune tellers and to diviners. But as for you, the Lord your God has not allowed you to do this. You see, just as we're reading here in through verses 9 and through 14, it's not like Israel's coming in to take over a kind, loving society. They're into a lot of demon worship, a lot of activity that's in regards to communication with the dead, the necromancers, the interpreters of omens. Like, these were witchy, satanistic type of people. And so God wanted them out of there, and he chose to put people of Israel there instead of them because of the things that they were doing. And that's his right to do so. So, anyways, continuing on, and here's where we come into speaking of Jesus Christ. So, listen closely. The Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from among you, from your brothers. It is to him you shall listen, just as you desired of the Lord your God at Horeb on the day of the assembly, when you said, 'Let me not hear again the voice of the Lord my God, or see the great fire any more, lest I die.' And the Lord said to me, 'They are right in what they have spoken. I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brothers, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command him. And whoever will not listen to my words, that he shall speak in my name, I myself will require it of him. But the prophet who presumes to speak a word in my name that I have not commanded him to speak, or who speaks in the name of other gods, that same prophet shall die. And if you say in your heart, how may we know that the word that the Lord has not spoken? When a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, if the word does not come to pass or come true, that is a word that the Lord has not spoken. The prophet has spoken it presumptuously. You need not be afraid of him." So just recapping here with verses 18 to 15, a prophet. This role is ultimately fulfilled by Jesus of Nazareth. You can refer back to Acts chapter 3, verse 22. Like unto me, Moses was a type of Christ in his service. Hebrews 3:2. And in his office as a prophet. You can also go to Deuteronomy 34:10. We haven't gotten there yet, obviously. With Luke 24, verse 19. And then false prophets had to die. They would be exposed by the failure of their prophecies to come to pass. However, a prophet's prediction coming to pass did not necessarily prove he was of God. See note on 13:1-5. Chapter 13:1-5. Anyways, just a little information there leading out of that. So we're going to go ahead and continue into chapter 19. So, laws concerning cities of refuge. When the Lord your God cuts off the nations whose land the Lord your God is giving you, and you dispossess them and you dwell in their cities and in their houses, you shall set apart 3 cities for yourselves in the land that the Lord your God is giving you to possess. You shall measure the distances and divide it into 3 parts, the area of the land that the Lord your God gives you as a possession, so that any manslayer can flee to them. This is the provision for the manslayer, who by fleeing there may save his life if anyone kills his neighbor unintentionally without having hated him in the past. As when someone goes into the forest with his neighbor to cut wood, and his hand swings the axe to cut down a tree, and the head slips from the handle and strikes his neighbor so that he dies. He may flee to one of these cities and live, lest the avenger of blood, which is the nearest relative of the deceased. Oh, where did I just lose my spot? Lest the avenger of blood in hot anger pursue the manslayer and overtake him, because the way is long, and strike him fatally, though the man did not deserve to die, since he had not hated his neighbor in the past. Therefore I command you, you shall set apart 3 cities, and if the Lord your God enlarges your territory as he has sworn to your fathers, and gives you all the land that he promised to give you to your fathers, provided you are careful to keep all his commandments, which I command you today, by loving the Lord your God, and by walking ever in his ways. Then you shall add 3 other cities to these 3, lest innocent blood be shed in your land that the Lord your God is giving you for an inheritance, and so the guilt of the bloodshed be upon you. But if anyone hates his neighbor and lies in wait for him and attacks him and strikes him fatally so that he dies, and he flees into one of these cities, then the elders of this city shall send and take him from there and hand him over to the avenger of blood, so that he may die. Your eye shall not pity him, but you shall purge the guilt of innocent blood from Israel, so that it may be well with you. Verse 14, for property boundaries, you shall not move your neighbor's landmark, which the men of the old have set, and the inheritance that you will hold in the land that the Lord your God is giving you to possess. And then laws concerning witnesses. A single witness shall not suffice against a person for any crime or for any wrong in connection with any offense that he has omitted or committed. Only on the evidence of 2 witnesses or of 3 witnesses shall charge be established. If a malicious witness arises to accuse a person of wrongdoing, then both parties to the dispute shall appear before the Lord, before the priests and the judges who are in office in those days. The judges shall inquire diligently, and if the witness is a false witness and has accused his brother falsely, then you shall do to him as he had meant to do to his brother. So you shall purge the evil from your midst, and the rest shall hear the fear, and shall never again commit any such evil among you. Your eye shall not pity. It shall be life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. Chapter 20. Laws concerning warfare. When you go out to war against your enemies and see horses and chariots and an army larger than your own, you shall not be afraid of them, for the Lord your God is with you, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. And when you draw near to the battle, the priest shall come forward and speak to the people, and shall say to them, Hear, O Israel, today you are drawing near for battle against your enemies. Let not your heart faint. Do not fear or panic or be in dread of them. For the Lord your God is he who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies, to give you the victory. Then the officers shall speak to the people, saying, Is there any man who has built a new house and has not dedicated it? Let him go back to his house, lest he die in the battle and another man dedicate it. And is there any man who has planted a vineyard and has not enjoyed its fruit? Let him go back to his house, lest he die in the battle and another man enjoy its fruit. And is there any man who has betrothed a wife and has not taken her? Let him go back to his house, lest he die in the battle and another man take her. And the officers shall speak further to the people and say, Is there any man who is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go back to his house, lest he make the heart of his fellow melt like his own. And when the officers have finished speaking to the people, then commander shall be appointed at the head of the people. When you draw near to a city to fight against it, offer terms of peace to it. And if it responds to you peaceably, and it opens to you, then all the people who are found in it shall be forced to labor for you, and shall serve you. But if it makes no peace with you, but makes war against you, then you shall besiege it. And when the Lord your God gives it into your hand, you shall put all its males to the sword. But the women and the little ones, the livestock, and everything else in the city, all its spoil, you shall take as plunder for yourselves. And you shall enjoy the spoil of your enemies, which the Lord your God has given you. Thus you shall do to all the cities that are very far from you, which are not cities of the nations here, but in the cities of these people that the Lord your God is giving you for an inheritance. You shall save alive nothing that breathes, but you shall devote them to complete destruction. The Hittites and the Amorites, the Canaanites and the Perizzites, the Hivites and the Jebusites, as the Lord your God has commanded, that they may not teach you to do according to all their abominable practices that they have done for their gods, and so you sin against the Lord your God. When you besiege a city for a long time, making war against it in order to take it, you shall not destroy its trees by wielding an axe against them. You may not eat from them. You shall not cut them down. Are the trees in the field human, that they should be besieged by you? Only the trees that you know are not trees for food you may destroy and cut down, that you may build siege works against the city that makes war with you until it falls. All right, so that is going to be the conclusion of our reading this morning. A lot of great wisdom and information here and ways that we should be walking. Obviously, there is things that are... I just lost my train of thought. Anyways, a lot of great information. I hope that you've had the time to possibly get a study Bible. Just here, verse 20, a little bit of fruit-bearing trees were to be spared in a siege. Other trees could be cut down for bulwarks, which may have included ladders, towers, and battering rams. But as we had read, if it produces fruit, don't have to touch it. So I do love you. I hope you all have a wonderful day and keep enjoying the remaining amount of your week. I hope God blesses you through everything that you do. Continue to delve into God's Word and stay close in communication with Him. Y'all have a wonderful day. I love you, and we will see you next time.